So round one of the YCS in Dortmund is about to start. Nice, we are zooming in and there we are, live for round one. Christopher LeBlanc versus Denis. I'm sorry I didn't catch the last name.
All good, it sounded Italian to me, so it looks like we have the USA versus Italy here in the first one, and we see they came to the same decision deck-wise, and Denis won the die roll, and he's going to start it off with one of the most powerful openings we have right now, because being able to get to the field spell, to Primal Pearl Rhino, is going to be so huge, because as we can already see, it's going to be Ishizu Thieleman's mirror match, and having access to the field spell is such an advantage, I can tell you that already.
That is true. The field spell gives you so much utility. It can pop your own cards in the first turn, you can pop your Kaleido Heart, you can pop your Scream to search out for a trap card. And by the way, I think that he's actually German because it's Urplanet Perle Rhino.
Oh, you're absolutely right. He might very well be German. And look at that!
Wow, what a Havness. This Havness. This is such a great card. Turn 0, you can special... Turn 0, on your opponent's first turn, you can special summon it out when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field and then mill 3 cards, and now he has actually hit Chiron and Mudora.
What a
and
mill
Nimble Angler
this
as well.
is! And I mean, maybe he is playing Sprite cards. I was just saying he's not playing Sprite cards, but he at least is playing the Nimble Angler, so he's willing to summon some level 2 monsters. And there's the Bestial Druidswarm on the side of Denis now as well. We see a lot of interaction just from the get-go. We see the Mudora being activated on the Chiron, I think it was, that Denis sent to the graveyard. So instant denial of the resolve of a fusion summon. And then also the Druidswarm was resolved on the Chiron of Christopher LeBlanc. So that wasn't resolving anyways as well.
And now we have Palerino, because Mudora shuffled back the Chiron on the side of Denis. He can actually use the effect to pop a Beaver. And now we can already go into Link 2 plays. We have the Druidswarm here, so if it gets linked away, then we can send another Beaver from the field to the GY.
Yeah, but it's pretty rough for Denis still, because all he's trying to do right now is clearing a board that Christopher just set up in his own turn. So he's dealing with problems that Christopher set up for him while he had no chance of actually evolving his play. So he's pretty much in a disadvantage right now. And there would be a potential line for Dark here. Dark then... Oh no, there's no target for Dark anyways to take.
Also, it would have been much better if this was a Magnamut and not the Druidswarm, because then he could have searched for another Druidswarm in the end phase. So this is effectively one interruption less. So now Dark
He still goes for Dark though. He at least sends the Nimble Beaver with the Druidswarm.
This is just a pass. Wow. Christopher LeBlanc with his Havness effectively ending the turn of his opponent. He just ends on a Dark, and actually this monster is not too sticky. It is still floating into a level, or into a Dark monster with 1,500 or less defense points when it gets destroyed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually just got handed the deck lists for this round. Our deck list tool is now working, and I can tell you something. He is indeed still playing Ishizu Thieleman's. No, that's not the surprise.
Wow,
but the Sprite part is the surprise. The Sprite part is the surprise. He's still bringing Sprite cards, actually.
He's playing so many more spicy cards.
Oh, yeah.
Actually
it's
also
crazy.
Must Change and Ibli.
Yes.
People have been cutting the Lingeribo from the side deck.
That might be a pretty good call, of course. So maybe in game 1, Christopher LeBlanc just wants to catch people off guard by summoning Ibli to the opponent's side of the field.
Now Chiron is activated after using Foolish Burial, which is a really good card. Again.
Oh yeah, Foolish Burial, one of the OG cards.
And now we already see that there is no answer from Denis to this.
Oh, we see his hand. I think we see Diviner and another card that didn't do a whole lot.
Keldo. I think it's a Keldo.
Yeah, that's also not so great. We are searching for the Rhino Heart there, and look, even if Denis would have an answer, there would be the Triple Tactics talent that Christopher LeBlanc has in his hand. He's also main decking this. That's a pretty big number of cards he fit into his deck there, to be honest. I'm quite surprised because he actually decided to cut a little bit down on the Telemans cards. He's actually only running double Merly and only double Rhinoheart. So he actually, I saw a lot of people approaching this format being like, hey, there are so many millers around with Ishizu cards, so I want to make sure to max out on my Telemann cards. So always when my opponent sends me to mill or when I'm milling, then I really want to hit. So I'm just going to play all of them so I hit as often as I can. But he actually cut down on some of them, which is quite interesting.
Oh, and I can actually see some more spicy cards there, Beat Cop from the Underworld in this sighting. And also, I gotta say, it makes sense to cut on the Merly, because Merly is not one that you want to mill randomly. You want to rather resolve Chiron and Havness first, so that you can actually send Merly via Sprite Sprint.
Yep, Sprite Sprint. Also a card we did not have for the latest European YCS in Utrecht. And this deck really gave a huge boost to Sprite and Telemans strategies, for sure. Both decks really relying on that card, just sending a level 2 monster from the deck to the graveyard, being Nimble Angler, which we see he also has access to that. So even if he mills Merly at some point, he can still just send the Nimble Angler and he would be totally fine with it. And so he has a really big toolbox there in his extra deck. He can go many different routes. He's playing, of course, Gigantic Sprite to do something with the level 2 he's summoning. He's playing Baguska as well as a rank 4. And I was just checking. Okay, yeah, up there there's Abyss Dweller as well. For a second, I thought he was skipping on the Abyss Dweller, which would have been quite crazy. But there are already 2 level or rank 4s rather on the board. So okay, he's getting rid of one of them.
Going for a Dark already, I think. It makes sense. There's no responses, obviously, from Denis for that. And the Starlight Rare Dark coming.
Oh, and he draws into the mask change too.
And Basti, I gotta be honest, he's summoning the Druid Swarm now, which is interesting, because if he sends away the Druid Swarm, then it will trigger in the GY. So I think that he might actually just wants to go for an OTK here.
It must be the case. Christopher LeBlanc probably already sees a line to actually seal the deal here in this turn already. He's sending the Merly, as you were just talking about, with Sprite Sprint, enabling him to fusion summon into Kaleido Heart. Now we can already tell that because there's only one summon that can come out of his 3 monsters right there. And there it comes.
And this is not yet enough for a game. However, he can still go for Darklaw, but
you could even go for Darklaw and Battle Phase, and that would very well be enough, right?
You cannot wait. I gotta check for Mask Change 2 again, because if this is a fusion summon or a special summon, then you can't use Kaleido Heart for it. You would have to use Druid Swarm for it, and then Druid Swarm would trigger and send Darklaw to the GY, no?
But, yeah, true. You can't send Sprite Sprint, right? Because you need a Dark Monster, right?
But I think this is, it's special summoning. So this is not fusion material, so you can actually tribute Kaleido Heart. But
but he just Norman summons Mudora and goes for
game as well, yes.
So Christopher LeBlanc just continuing where he left at YCS Minneapolis, getting that game number 1, even though he lost the die roll, just easily playing through all of that. To be fair, it wasn't that much he had to face there.
I mean, he had Havness with the Chiron and Mudora. And, I mean, sometimes the deck has the issue that it only has one play.
Yeah.
That can happen occasionally. It's unlucky for Denis that it happened in the round 1 already.
Absolutely.
Against such a big player like Christopher.
Yep, and I think that's a pretty interesting thing to already talk about, looking at Ishizu Telemans' lists. For example, the list of Christopher LeBlanc did one really interesting thing. He did cut on the Diviner of the Herald package. And we saw that Denis already had a normal summon he committed into, being the Rhinoheart, which is a very good normal summon for the deck.
It is.
But he drew into another one with the Diviner, so that Diviner was just a card in his hand that couldn't do anything. So maybe it's a right way going forward, just cutting those Diviners, because they can be a little bit clocky in your opening hand.
I mean, to be fair, the Sprite cards can be too. I mean, he's running, I think, 1 blue and 1 jet.
Looks
and
like
those cards sometimes can be a bit annoying as well. So you ideally want to go into Sprint and then Angler and then Gigantic instead of just having them in hand, or a Smashes even.
Yeah. But what I love about the deck of Christopher is you just perform your usual combo, your normal Telemans combo, your Shizu stuff as well, that supports your Telemann cards, of course. And then afterwards, after you're done with that, basically, you just be like, okay, let me get a Link 2 on board now. Let's make a Gigantic out of it somehow, and then we're going into our Sprite combo as well. Just fetch a Jet, fetch a Smashers, and then our board is even stronger than before. And we even have actual back row to support our board, which is really crucial, because you want to have a multi-layer end board. You don't want to only have monster effects. You want to have some back row cards as well. That would be really cool.
Basti, I'm just taking a look at the side deck. Christoph Christopher is not even playing the Bestial package in the main deck. He is running...
actually very interesting. He plays one Druid's Womb in the main deck, but that's all. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, because you can reborn the Magnamut from the opponent's GY and then search for this one Druid's Womb. So, also, if you draw it, it's not a bad card, to be honest.
I liked the discussion people were having the last couple of weeks because of that. People were actually cutting down on the Druid's Womb, on the Magnamut, and were upping the number of Druid's Wombs because they just didn't want to mill their own Magnamuts to give the opponent something to reborn with the dog you were just talking about. So that's kind of interesting.
Cutting your own card advantage to deny your opponent from card advantage. But we are seeing that the players are, in fact, ready for game number 2, so let's hop right over.
There we have them again.
Just to give you guys some reference, this is Bestial Druid's Womb. If you have not seen him already, you will this
And
weekend.
I just finally got the list of Denis Nobili, to finally say his full name again.
Oh, I like what I'm seeing
actually,
here.
I do as well, but it's just not regular Ishizu Telements. We actually see some Despia cards in there. We see branded and high spirits, or rather some branded cards, if you want to say so. And we see the almighty and powerful Instant Fusion. Pay 1,000 life points to just get a Kit Colors onto the field for free without even committing into a Telements effect into your graveyard.
Bestie, I gotta say, I'm branded in high spirits for this weekend as well. This joke works much better in German.
I think it works in English as well. But there we go, we are resolving the Kit Colors, and I'm pretty sure if Christopher LeBlanc would have another Halfness, we would have seen it already now. Yeah. We would have seen the Halfness coming down, but looks like Denis has a little bit more wiggle room this time. He can do more freely what he wants to do, and he instantly searches for Telements Crime. And that's also a development of the last couple of weeks. This card didn't see a whole lot of attention.
Until Darkwing Blast.
Until Darkwing Blast, indeed.
Telements Scream was released, a card that when it gets sent to the GY by a card effect, it searches a trap card from the deck, so you effectively are able to search for Salik and another card, so you can end on 2 very strong traps. And now we are seeing Halfness milled in the mill 8, special summoning Merly.
Wow, Talents but we only hit the Halfness, right?
Yeah, and a Caldo.
Okay, yeah, last card was a Caldo.
And
okay, that's
branded
fine.
in high spirits. Don't forget about this card. People often tend to forget that when you mill this card and you have not used the first effect of the card, then you can add it back in the end phase to your hand.
But just imagine Christopher having a Bestial for this. We see that it's resolving, so he is actually fine. But a Bestial here would have been really crucial. That could have stopped the entire turn of Denis once again.
I don't think so, because he has not even normal summoned yet, and he just needs one other monster on the field to go into sprint and send a Merly.
Actually, you're right, yeah. He could have probably extended, but he needs a normal summon for it. But it's pretty likely that he has one. This deck really revolves around all the
We have just
monsters.
talked about him having too many normal summons.
Oh yeah, indeed, for real. That's actually true. He's only side decking the Telements Crime, so that came into his main deck from the side deck before this game too. Which is interesting, but I do understand that because he's only running one Telements Scream in the main deck anyway, so he's not going to mill that much anyways. So we see him fusion summoning into Mudora here. So he has a level 4 and a level 2 on board now. So I could totally see that happening, what you were talking about already. We could see Sprint. Oh, he again has the Terraforming.
Yep, and now we are going to see a Primeval Planet Perlerino. He is also playing a Mystic Mine in the main deck, I think, so this was why he's playing set rotation. Dangerous game, to be fair, because you are milling so many cards in your first turn. And you also don't really necessarily want to always give your opponent a Mystic Mine just in case. I mean, you can pop it, fair enough, but...
I think when he resolves the set rotation, he usually is going to get the Mystic Mine for himself, I would assume.
We can now get a glimpse of the hand of
Oh, and there's the newest and probably, arguably, the strongest Ishizu card. We see Kelbeck coming down, and Kelbeck is bouncing the Merly here. And I do understand why, because I think LeBlanc just wants to make sure here that his opponent does not have access to a level 2 monster on board anymore. So he is denying him from sprint and elf access.
Kelbeck is a monster hand interaction that actually special summons itself to the field while bouncing a special summoned monster on the opponent's side after a card has been sent from the hand to the GY or from the deck to the GY. So this is extremely powerful. And sometimes when you are lucky and your opponent does not have Muddragon on the field, you can actually spin, as we like to call it, a extra deck monster, which results in a +1 in terms of card advantage, which is really strong for an
just a special summon monster in general. But we see he still has 2 level 4 monsters on the board to go into one of the most popular cards this format. There's Abyss Dweller being summoned to the field. But the thing is, Christopher actually decided to not bounce any of the level 4 monsters. So I think he has a plan for the Dweller, to be honest.
He couldn't.
I mean,
Mudring is water, and Rhino Heart is water as well, so you cannot target those.
You're right, you're absolutely right.
So he might have wanted to. However,
the protection effect of Mudora really, of Muddragon really comes in handy from time to time.
And I want to address something else.
Sure, go ahead.
As soon as I remember what I wanted to say.
I will address something that I see in the hand of Christopher, which is he opened double Mudora and then also a Caldo. So
if he was playing the traps, this would be okay.
Yeah, but not even then, really. So we are normal summoning the Sprite Blue. That's really not a good start, going into Dark here immediately.
And now we are going for the Dark. We have seen, I think, that one Magnamut was milled, and this one was shuffled back immediately for the Muddragon. What I wanted to say is Branded in High Spirits. I really like Branded in High Spirits as a card right now. Wow, discard them early. I mean, we knew...
The thing is, I think Christopher just wanted to bait out an effect from his opponent there, because we see there's triple tactic talent in the hand of Christopher LeBlanc. So he just wants to see the last 2 cards that are there going to be drawn by the talent. And otherwise his hand just doesn't do a whole lot. So he just wanted to get his opponent to use 1 monster effect, which he now has accomplished, and then just drawing to 2 cards that maybe help him to play here, actually.
However, there are a few more monster effects to come. We have seen also... Okay, so this looks like a scoop. Yeah, Christopher immediately scoops because the talents will probably not resolve, as we have seen Denis search out a crime.
Indeed, there was a crime set, and why would you not use it on something that draws you 2 cards? I would always crime a Pot of Greed, if you ask me. So that would have probably been the case for Denis here. So Denis Nobili, just taking a game here away from Christopher LeBlanc, 4-time YCS champion. So that's quite an accomplishment already. He can already be quite proud and can easily go into this game number 3 here.
Yeah, absolutely. Denis has got to be really happy about this, not losing 2-0, but putting up a fight and now actually having the chance to best Christopher in this best of 3.
Yeah, and I mean, there are a couple of cards coming in for Denis now from his side deck that could really help him here. He's actually upping the Bestial count by siding in double Saruhan here. He's actually siding in a bunch of hand traps, now that I see it. We see there's triple Infinite Impermanence coming into his deck. A card that wasn't really that popular anymore lately.
People were shifting away from hand interactions
absolutely.
As well.
And also there's Psy-Framping a Gamma. And honestly, a well-timed Gamma versus this deck can really hurt. It can be really good.
It feels a little bit ineffective when you are throwing it on the first thing that you are seeing, when it goes Rhino Heart, Mill, Harvness effect, Gamma, and then your opponent just plays on. This feels a little bit not so good, but if you wait for a little minute...
I think so as well. It has to depend really on when you use it, and if you can figure out a good point to use the Gamma and resolve the Gamma then, you will be in a really good spot.
And Telements combos are never the same. They are never exactly the same. You always mill different cards, so there is no fixed point at which Gamma is the best one. It has no weak spot where you can Gamma, so you really have to play well with the Gamma.
Absolutely.
And if Denis is performing really well here, this Gamma might actually end the turn on a weaker board.
Absolutely. And I mean, we already talked about, we didn't really mention it that much, this mirror match, which we're just seeing right now, is super skillful. It's super intense because there's a lot of stuff happening.
Don't worry, guys. We are going to see this more often today.
For sure. It seems like this deck really is taking over. We saw that YCS Pasadena was actually having 26 Telement Ishizu decks in the top 32, so definitely the best deck right now, definitely the deck to beat. So every other deck entering the tournament really has to think about a way to beat this deck, and I think there are a lot of people actually coming up with creative solutions for that. We already talked to a couple of people.
Mask change too is a nice way.
Some really interesting stuff happening, and let's see what other interesting stuff is happening here in game number 3 of our round 1 featured match. Let's go back into the action, into our featured match.
Here we are already. So it all comes down to this. Let's show up the Cyframe Gamma. Does Denis have it? Does he have maybe 20 Bystials? I mean, that is also a point why Gamma is not really that popular anymore, because the Bystials actually, let's say, clog your field. They summon themselves and then you cannot Gamma anymore.
That's true. We see Christopher LeBlanc already managed to open up Mask Change, but he also managed to open up 3 Shufflers again. He again starts with double Mudora Kaldo, I think. So if there is an interaction on the Shiren here, that might hurt, but he mills another Shiren and the Callback.
Now Christopher will have to decide, is his hand good enough to activate the Callback? No, it is not. This is also why some people have cut Agidos, because Callback is a really good hand interaction as well, but have cut on Agidos to...
And honestly, imagine having an Imperm now for that.
Oh, that would have been great. But this is a really blue hand for Denis.
Oh, it is. It's blue. But honestly, the Imperm wouldn't have even been good in this specific scenario because there's Mask Change 2 in the hand of Christopher LeBlanc, so you could have just chained it immediately.
That is true, and let's check Darklaw again, because I think that Darklaw is only Macrocosmos for your opponent, which makes sense because then you wouldn't play it if it's Macrocosmos.
So we see another mill 8 here. There was a Callback right at the beginning. The rest is not really helping, and we see a lot of spell cards.
Oh, and a Kaldo again.
Oh, last card being a
really
Kaldo.
Not good. But however, Christopher at this point... oh no, Denis feels safe now. He has seen 2 Mask Change 2 mills, and he's probably going to be like, nah, he doesn't have the 1-off in hand.
He does. Well, I can tell you he does. But for now, there's still only the Merly on board. I mean, he could potentially now just normal summon one of the Shufflers, right? Because he didn't normal summon yet. And therefore, he could enable himself to go into the sprint line we were talking about earlier. And I think that's what we're going to see. Look, yeah. Oh no, he's using the effect of Kaldo in hand. That also makes sense. Yeah. So he doesn't have to normal summon, but he just goes ahead and special summons the Kaldo out.
And searches for a Callback, another interaction on your opponent's turn, which is good. You also want to have the Medora in the GY. Now you have Medora and Kaldo. Those are 2 really strong interactions already. Oh, and Mask Change discard Callback, and now you can actually trigger the Merly because it doesn't send for cost. It sends during the resolve the beautiful Ultimatria Darklaw, and now Merly is triggering.
Oh, and he's triple. I think we're going to see the Mill 5 now. So he better prepare himself. I mean, he's banishing the cards. That's really good. It's really good. Oh, and we see the Mystic Mine being banished. And the driver as well.
You don't want to see the driver banished here. And we are hitting the Harvest. I think Harvest has not been triggered yet. It was only the Shiren. So this was actually
quite good for Christopher, especially when you see the cards that were being banished on the opponent's side. Especially that you see the driver there, the Mystic Mine, cards you don't have to worry about now anymore because there's literally no way of getting them back from there. And he's fusion summoning into Garura now.
Yeah, the Garura is not doing too much. I think there's obviously there's no card in the opponent's GY, so you cannot go for a dark play.
But I like that really much. I like the solution that Christopher came up with. Summoning Darklaw before even using his millers, so his opponent's cards would actually get banished and not sent to the graveyard. This must be a huge advantage in the mirror match.
But Denis has triple tactic talent, so if he can bait out the Roll Colors or any of the GY effects in the main phase... Oh, this is IP even. Okay, okay. Garura draws another card, makes sense.
And it was Perlo Rhino from what I saw.
Rhino is really strong here. I don't know if you want to activate it just now, because I don't know. You can search for Harvest always.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
you can always search for Harvest.
I mean, also, I don't think he normal summoned yet, so there would even be a way to normal summon here, if he likes. So if he wants an additional Kaleido Heart maybe to his end board, that would be a way to go here. But I feel like just getting Harvest is a little bit more flexible. But, oh yeah, he's going with the Rhino Heart indeed. Look, he has both of our options there lined up so the people can actually feel with him. He is deciding... Oh, now it's Merly maybe even. Merly would give him access to... Yeah, he goes with Merly.
And he already proceeds to normal summon it.
And I mean,
but Merly doesn't even mill cards for him now, you know?
Yeah, but it gives him access to... Oh, he has Beat Cop up there.
Oh, he wants to Beat Cop the Darklaw.
That could be the way. Are we seeing this?
No, he has the... What are we even doing, Basti? He has the Sprite package in his deck. He's obviously going to go for Blue Jet and Smashes now.
Looks like it. We didn't see any of that being milled, so it should all still be in the deck. We saw blue there. I think Smashes is still in there as well. Oh, but where's the Jet? Did he side out the Jet? That would be crucial here. Look, oh, we're checking the graveyard again. I think, wasn't there a Jet somewhere? Right at the beginning, it looked like a Jet. That would be really devastating here. He is specialing the blue, and he's not using the effect. There's no Jet left in his deck. That might be a huge misstep here from our 4-time YCS champion, Christopher LeBlanc, not being able to fetch Smashers here in this situation. Just passing on the Sprite Elf.
And summoning back the blue to have another monster on the field already. Oh, and... oh, wow! He chained Skeldo to shuffle back the Sprite Jet before summoning the blue so he can activate the effect and search for the Jet again. This is really well played. This is really, really good.
Kind of saved himself. He would have rather just chained it instantly to the first effect of Gigantic, most likely, so he already could have done it there. But now, just like that, it should still work out just fine. But there's the Jet back in the deck. This is
so much cooler, not gonna lie.
A little way around, I would say. He gets to the same
This is
thing
what makes a great player. Like, he made that up on the spot, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
He's like, oh, I don't have the... oh, wait, I can still go for Keldo and chain it to Elf.
And I mean, really he had multiple Keldos, so it's not that rough for him to instantly use one of those. Also, if that Dark Lord sticks to the field, there's not much danger coming from the graveyard of Denis anyways, so I think that could really be helpful here.
And he could have also gone for... like, just an Elf to reborn Jet, but this way he gets another body on board, which does not do anything.
But Leo, what I'm asking you is, are there any Sprite cards in the graveyard now? Look, he's checking. There should not be any Sprite cards, so the Sprite Smashers for now.
He was going to do something like Sprint or something, but...
yeah, he considered it. He was hovering over his extra deck, but he decided against it in the end. And there's Perler Rhino now.
And this is... oh no! Oh, no. I would have set the triple tactic talents before, because Dark Cloud now is going to activate to banish a card from it. If he has two, then he wants to see it get
honestly, I had that debate with a friend lately. I would probably not activate the effect of Dark Lord here, because that just gives your opponent the option to even activate the triple tactic talents. And it is not mandatory, it is optional. I checked on that, my friend. And yeah, he is actually getting rid of the Chiron, which then hinders the power that can come after Retalent, of course. But still, it opens the door, I would say. It just opens the door to take the Dark Lord here.
Let's check Denis's extra deck, because he actually has so many different options here. If he goes for a talent into Dark Lord, he can go for an easy Dark and can reborn the IP Masquerena.
And you know what? That's really interesting now, because that means that LeBlanc probably does not even get a Sprite card into his graveyard now that there is the Dark Lord on the side of Denis then in the end. And Christopher, look, he is not happy about this triple tactic talents being activated. And he would have been in no danger if he would have just not banished one of the cards. So I think it was just not good to banish one of the cards there in the hand.
That is true. And now Mudora is being chained. Oh, okay, this is a really smart move. He is putting back the Merly. I mean, it is a card that you want to reborn with Elf, but now the Merly is being shuffled back. Darklaw will change sides, and now it is going to be popped by Primeval Planet Perlerino.
Oh, you're right. He found an instant answer to it. So, I mean, on the other end, Denis dealt with the Dark Lord now, but now Christopher instantly dealt with it as well.
He also dealt with one Mudora, and Elf cannot reborn Merly.
That is indeed true. So let's see what's coming next. There is Merly coming up for Denis, and milling here is crucial. Okay, he hits Rhino Heart, double Rhino Heart, and the Magnamu. That's not what you want to see. Does he have other cards to discard?
He also has another Perlerino and another triple tactic talents in hand. You were right about that. Now Roll Colors is being activated. And Halfness is
but there's Halfness. There is a chance. He still has Halfness, so there's another mill coming. We see that is Salik, Magnamut, and Druiswolf. He mills all the Bestials. He would have needed those turn 1, but not as a mill now in his own turn.
But really well played by Denis, knowing that this Rhino Heart will not resolve. It's chaining the Halfness, so it gets to the field. And Salik is going to search for another card. Can search for a Chiron, but there is no other monster in hand.
I don't think so.
Okay, so we have the Smashes interaction, but now he can play.
Yeah, and I mean, the Smasher still is not live, and Denis sees that. There's no Sprite cards in the graveyard of Christopher LeBlanc, so he could just set up his board right now, maybe spin back the back row with Kaleido Heart or something, and then he should be good to go here. I see a line for Denis
he can actually summon back the IP as well. Is there any card in the extra deck?
There's so many cards in the extra deck of Christopher's that I cannot
know
even
there
imagine.
are cards in the extra deck, Basti.
Yeah, but no, like he has
nothing
to
he
fit
can
in,
go into.
He has to fit so much stuff in there. There could be
Also
Sprite
Sprint.
Sprint,
Oh, yes.
of course, but there's no Exceed monster on his board, so...
Yeah, but he can still send him early.
Yeah, of course, of course. So
Yeah.
he gets into Fusion Summon here, but he does not get to resolve the bounce effect that is also quite
And
cool.
he gets the blue into the GY.
Oh, you're right. There is a blue in the graveyard now. That's crucial.
There's so much you can do with this deck.
That is a
So
crucial
Sprite
fact.
and Telemann really work well together, you gotta be honest there.
So he is instantly fusioning away the Merly and goes into another Kid Colors.
I love that Kid Colors and Rule Colors loop each other.
Absolutely. So do you think he's just going to go into another Rule Colors from here on? Because then again, it would be Fusion Summoned. Because the thing about Rule Colors is that you would have to have it Fusion Summoned. But is it once per turn?
It is hard once per turn.
It is hard once per
I can
turn.
get it up for
Alright.
you guys again, but I'm a 90%, 900% convinced that this is hard once per turn. You can only use each of the following effects.
Alright.
Okay, so we are now sending the Harvness to the GY. We have already popped with Perlerino, so Denis did a lot with what he had. I mean, he had a good hand, but the last two cards in his hand are Triple Tactic Chance and Perlerino, and none of those can be activated.
And there comes Dracostapelia on top of everything now. So even if Denis finds his way into a monster effect on the board, there is the Dracostapelia answering that immediately now. Denis double checking on the graveyard. I think he actually has two multiples in his hand, right? He has a Talons he already used, and he has Perlerino he already used as well. So two cards that just totally don't do anything. Looks like, oh yeah, Battle Phase running over Sprite Elf cannot be the worst decision here.
But it will also not help you too much, I think. So we are going for Smashers immediately, probably going to take out the Merly at this point, or the Harvness to
I mean, Harvness would protect
the Elf.
The Elf, indeed. And when your opponent is already desperate enough to go into battle phase with those two monsters, I'm quite sure that Smashers there can't be the worst decision. And Denis only can set one more card and gives it back over to Christopher LeBlanc, who draws into Nimble Angler. Not the best top deck, but his board already is providing quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, that is true. Also, the Perlerino boosts the fusion monsters by another 500 attack points. I think maybe even normal summoning the Angler is going to be enough to go for a game here. But there might be some other place that Christopher has. I mean, think
there's still Sprite Sprint on the field, right?
But that's a summon effect.
Oh yeah, never mind.
But Kid Colors can activate the effect. I don't know. I think there is no other Telemann card in game right now for him. No. Okay, so he can actually just use Elf and try to use... there is a mod. Oh, Harvness in hand. No. Yeah,
oh, there's Harvness in hand. So we're going to see another talent, Chiron and Merly.
Okay, so now he can actually play. There are no Mudora, no Keldos, as we can see, apparently, because otherwise Christopher would... Okay, no,
oh, there is Keldos. So the mills are great, but they're going to get answered immediately again.
This is why these cards are so strong in the game right now.
Yep, just an additional resource you find in your graveyard as interruption for yours and your opponent's turn. So really bringing you forward.
Back the Beaver to the main deck and the Merly and Chiron. So no fusions for Denis in this turn. And now Christopher just is trying to find a way to win this game here. He could have sent the Gigantic. Oh, wait, Perlerino can pop something now.
Yep, if he wants to. I think we're going after the back row, right? We know
the Perlerino of Denis.
Oh, true. He shuffled back Telemann names, so he definitely could be popping here.
Oh, and he's popping his own Harvness.
So Denis really knows what he does, and he is actually now performing a fusion summon.
Yeah.
And he goes after the Kaleido Heart, it looks like. Yes, he's going with 3 monsters. We're summoning out Kaleido Heart here, so Denis really getting all the options he can get. Even resolving Perlerino on his own cards to trigger fusion summoning effects. And there's Kaleido Heart hitting the board now. What are we spinning back?
Will, however, be probably negated by Dracostapelia, right?
That, I think, immediately happened. Oh, no. But okay, we're declaring a target.
I mean, you still have Perlerino, so you can go Chainlink 1 Kaleido Heart and Chainlink 2 Perlerino to pop the Dracostapelia, so the negation of Dracostapelia does not do anything. Am I missing something? Or maybe he's just forgetting the Perlerino, or is there a reason for it? Oh no, he can't be targeted. I mean, you can still activate Pellerino on Elf.
Yeah, for sure. So he is just, as we said, that Pellerino field spell is crucial in the mirror match, so definitely worthy of a pop here. He takes it out. So Christopher LeBlanc now being the only player here that has access to Pellerino.
So Christopher has shuffled back the Gigantic Sprite, and now he can attack over the Kaleido Heart with 3,200 after having the effect activated. I mean, okay, you can special summon out a Merly or an Angler or Nimble or whatnot. That does not really do too much.
You can Merly coming.
You cannot really fusion summon anything this turn anymore because Gigantic Sprite has resolved, but you are dealing with
He's still milling, though. Maybe you are hitting some of the Shizu cards. No, we don't. That's only Terraforming and 2 Telement cards.
He could have maybe hit a Nimble Angler, to be fair.
That would have been quite decent, even. And he still, of course, has Dark in the graveyard, but Dark again, there are no level 2 or lower Dark monsters in the graveyard of his opponent, so Dark wouldn't provide any damage here either.
To be fair, also Dragostapelia can attack over the Kaleido Heart at this point because Pellerino is on the field.
Yep, and he's attacking for quite a bit of damage, but it doesn't appear to be enough to go for game here in this turn already.
No, this should be 5,400 damage, and it appears to be the first damage dealt to Denis. I mean, it is the first turn with a battle phase for Christopher, it just makes sense. So we are bringing Denis down to 2,600 life points. I gotta be honest, Basti. I mean, it doesn't look good for Denis right now, but if he can bait out the Dragostapelia effect on the next turn, with the talent set, there could be something.
That's true. Do we maybe go into the Underclock? No, not the Underclock Taker.
Underclock Taker.
I'm sorry.
This would be
that would be interesting,
spice.
But I thought maybe we even go into Beat Cop here to protect something on our board, but he decides against it. He just summons out Dark. And it's
Dark
back on
is
Denis.
not being able to summon anything from the opponent's GY. However, you want this Merly in the GY, so you can reborn it with Elf and get some mills, so you can fusion summon on your opponent's turn. And now we're seeing
now the Pellerino in his hand actually is great again. We saw that he started with a double copy of it, but now he can actually activate the second one. And Christopher is not happy about it.
So we have seen that he has drawn a trap card for a turn. This is not what you want to see in this situation. You really don't want to have the Sulik here. And Elf is reborning the Merly. So,
and what are we hitting? Oh,
are we hitting a tier name? Yes, we are hitting the Havness with the last mill. So Havness is being activated with the Shiren together. We are going for a Kit Colors, and I'm pretty sure that Christopher does not forget about his Pellerino effect. So he might actually pop. Oh, he's popping the Pellerino, and this actually might hurt him because the set card is, again, still triple tactic talents.
What is happening after that? I mean, we just searched with Pellerino, of course.
You can take the Dragostapelia because it does not target, and then you can normal summon your Rhino Heart. But there are Keldo and Mudora.
Oh, but he doesn't do that. He just starts it all off with the Rhino Heart.
There are still...
He wants to take something else, I think. I think he wants to take the Dark, maybe. But the Dark would not make sense because he can only summon into the zones he's pointing to, so there would be no zones. Oh, he wants the Kit Colors, though. So I think he's just resolving the on-field effect of Kit Colors.
Oh, he's tripping. He has the Sulik in hand. He is summoning back a Kaleido Heart from the GY, and he is sending the Rhino Heart. And now the Kaleido Heart can activate, and the Rhino Heart as well. He can discard the Sulik. This was really well played by Denis.
Really cool, for sure. Denis definitely knows his stuff. And you can see Christopher LeBlanc, first round at the YCS, you maybe expect somewhat of an easy start, maybe get into the tournament smoothly. But Christopher LeBlanc really gets challenged here by Denis in this first round of a tournament.
Oh, Elf is summoning... Okay, no, we are resetting something. Kaleido Heart is still allowed to spin, I'm pretty sure of that, but now we are seeing the... Oh, no, we are still resolving.
Okay, we're just taking out the Rhino Heart with another Keldo. Christopher LeBlanc started with so many of the shufflers. I think he opened Keldo, and Mudora, and now it pays off. He had those shufflers for so many turns. Denis didn't really get access to his shufflers at all. And that might be, in the end, the advantage here in this specific game.
That is true, but what can Denis do? I think there shouldn't be another Mudora. And this is going to be important. Is there a Mudora? Let's see. No,
Doesn't look like it. There was a Kelbeck, but I think besides the Kelbeck, no other Ishizu cards.
Is still able to use Dark, so he can actually go into the battle phase, run over Elf and Merly. You don't want to run over Dark, because then you will give your opponent a free Halfness, and you cannot attack over the Dragostapelia because of the boost of Primeval Planet.
Let's hope he doesn't forget. Let's hope he doesn't try to attack the Dragostapelia here. No, he runs over the Elf with Kaleido Heart. Well played. Dennis really remembering all the things here.
Dennis knows all his attack points.
Yeah.
And now we are attacking over the Dark, actually.
So, what are we going to search here? The double checking. Yeah, but he is resolving the effect of Dark right here. And he's checking on the stats again. What can we even search? And it looks like he goes for Halfness.
Yeah, you can search Halfness and Shiren. There are already so many players in the crowd watching this featured match. I love it so much.
It's fantastic. So many players in the venue in general, and now the featured match area is also stacked. I mean, they see who made it here to Germany. Christopher LeBlanc flying in from the USA. That's quite a big name in the Yu-Gi-Oh scene. So, of course, they're curious on what he's running.
I don't understand why he ran over Dark to give his opponent a Halfness.
That was quite a brave move, yeah, for sure.
Now we are linking those away, going into the Dark. And Dark can now summon out many different cards. For example, IP Masquerena or the Kid Kalos again. And he can actually summon the Kid Kalos again.
Oh, but now he can change the Halfness.
He can actually use all the effects of Kid Kalos on Shiren.
But there's the Halfness, and we're hitting Shiren. So, as you said, he just gave his opponent a free Halfness, and that might really, really, really be the turning point here for Christopher, because he gets to resolve one more fusion effect by hitting the Shiren. So, definitely very, very good for him.
Oh, yeah, and he is now going for a Kaleido Heart, and Kaleido Heart is really strong. I mean, he can shuffle his own Kid Colors away. He can also shuffle back the Dark, which is both would be really good. I think you would rather want to go for the Dark, because you can pop your opponents with the Kid Colors in the next turn. I mean, he searches for Halfness now. So, okay, so he can trigger the Halfness on the Kaleido Heart. I'm pretty sure of that, because he searched it before the Kaleido Heart could activate.
So, let's see. We haven't resolved the Kaleido Heart yet, but yeah, we are chaining Halfness
this point,
indeed.
I have lost all track of
and we are milling. There's Rhino Heart, which we already activated, and a whiff besides that.
He did not hit anything, but I still think that he has Merly effect open, and he can easily go into sprint with this. What is this game? Dennis is having the performance of his life right now.
He is indeed. What a show he's putting up here. It looked like Christopher LeBlanc would already be able to maybe seal the deal in his last turn, but we still have 2,100 life points for Denis, and he's far away from being done here in this game.
So now we are going into probably what is a Sprite Sprint. We can also go into Elf, of course, but I think at this point there's really nothing Christopher can do anymore. I think this is... Christopher is out of his last interruptions, and now Denis can just actually play.
This is actually impressive, because Denis played through 3 shufflers on Christopher LeBlanc's side. Didn't have access to any of them himself. No Bishields from him either, and still he's playing through this quite well. Sending the Merly, as you were saying.
No, you cannot use Kaleido Heart. This is not going to happen. Kaleido Heart cannot, in fact, be used for a fusion summon as material.
Okay, and looks like he's just going into Kid Colors here, right? And I mean, Kid Colors used all the effects already, and that wouldn't really help. Yeah, we are going for Kid Colors.
But he has Salik in hand, so this is maybe something that he wants to try out here. Now we have drawn the Merly on the side of Christopher, which is not too strong. And now, I mean, all the cards are on Christopher's side right now, right? This is...
Norman Summon Rhino, and we are instantly answering it with the Salik.
This would be so much better for Denis if he still had a Perlerino, to be honest, because then he could pop...
And we're milling the useless Imprint, but there's one Shiren. Is the one Shiren enough here, though?
I gotta be honest, I think it will be tough for him. Like, what card is he going to summon? Roll Colors is nice and all, but it still loses to Kaleido Heart in terms of attack points because of the Primeval Planet Perlerino. And I think we're just going for that. It seems like a desperation play. He really needed to hit all the names. I think we're going for Kid Colors first, of course. Oh, he went for Kid Colors already.
Yeah. He used Kid Kalos for that fusion summon because Kid Kalos was on the board at the beginning of the turn. So he's running over the stop, and Christopher LeBlanc takes this game number 3 here in round 1 of YCS Dortmund 2022, biggest European YCS we've ever had, and Christopher LeBlanc is starting it off in style.
And what a round 1 featured match. Denis put up a big fight. It looked like everything was against him. He started 2 Polarino and 2 triple tactic talents, but he still managed to break the board, come back, had so many different options, chose so many great routes, like summoning the Kid Kalos of the opponent to get the effect after using Dark, and before that taking it to send the own Rhino Heart to the GY. That was really, really good.
Absolutely. You could tell that Denis has played a couple of mirror matches in the last couple of days already. Of course, you would bring this deck into the tournament prepared because you know that that mirror match is super skillful. You would need to invest a little bit of time to actually be able to understand the depth of this deck. But he really, really, really performed, honestly. It didn't look like a big gap between the two, quite frankly.
Absolutely not.
He played it very, very strong. And yeah, let's maybe get into the bigger picture a little bit again. Ishizu Telemans. Do you think, I want one answer from you right now, what's going to win the tournament, which is not Ishizu Telemans, because that would be the obvious pick, and of course it would be too boring, so give me one deck that's winning that's not Ishizu Telemans.
Pendulums.
I like that.
I think Pendulums has a decent matchup. You have lots of level 4 monsters, so it's a deck apart from Telemans that can actually access Dweller.
And it also is a deck that is deep in your heart, so you have a special connection to it.
You can search for field spells now, so Necro Valley is a thing, and Necro Valley is really good against all the Ishizu cards. And against the Telemann cards.
I like it.
So if I have to set my money on one deck, it's going to be Pendulums. What about you?
And I would assume it's Draco Slayer Pendulums, right?
Of course.
Because that's the newest edition in the latest set, so that would be really the Pendulum deck to go for right now, and I understand. For me personally, I would maybe go with Luanda Reese because it's a really good pick right now, but that's not the deck I'm actually going to go for it.
Shifter also not with the best Pendulum matchup, by the way. We have lots of wins.
True, but I will actually go with Naturia. I really like the new Naturia cards, and I really hope there's somebody really performing with the deck. I would love it. Those new Mole Cricket, Camellia, those cards are insane, seriously. I want to see them resolve as often as possible in the featured match.
I guess at this point you can already guess what deck profiles we are going to show you in the breaks in between the rounds. So we are going to waste no further time. We are going to give it over to Ed and Christopher LeBlanc.
Hello guys, yes I am with Christopher, who's just won round 1. Christopher, first off, congratulations. So you've come off the back of winning YCS Minneapolis, you're a 4 times YCS champion. You've changed your deck a little bit from Minneapolis. Talk to us a little bit about your choices.
Well, the Ishizu cards definitely had to go in my deck. They're in most people's deck today, and especially after Pasadena, seeing the majority of people in Top Cut were playing Ishizu, I mean, I knew I had no choice.
So you've also got a couple of other spicy things in there, like Dark Law, Mask Change 2. Why did you go with those?
It makes your basic hands and like the hands where you can't full combo like a lot better. As you can see in my game 3, how my hand was I missed on the Murley, I missed on the Kid Kalos. So playing the Match Change 2, it allowed me to play and keep going through my combo. So.
Nice. So you were probably expecting some of the mirror matches today. So the second you opened up against that, what was going through your head of how do I need to deal with this?
Definitely Dark Law. It definitely helps to get lock them out. I was definitely surprised when I got Tactics though. It was very awkward, so I knew I couldn't play through Dark Law, so I kind of had to get rid of it with the field spell. But Dark Law alone, I feel like is going to carry me.
We'll see what ends up happening throughout the tournament. Let's just go through some of the plays of the game. Denis kind of started off with that field spell turn 1, which is pretty good against the mirror match. You had some great mills. You were really going for Dark Law and Mask Change, and you attacked the game with a really strong field. Game 2, there was the instant fusion from Denis, but you had Kelbeck and you denied him a lot of plays. But then at that point, you had triple tactics in hand, and then you still scooped. So talk to us what was going through your mind at that point.
So I knew he had the crime, and I didn't want to waste time because I knew I lost. I knew that's getting negated, and the rest of my hand just wasn't able to play through like anything that he had on the board. And playing through Dweller is almost impossible with that situation.
So you just knew it was time to move on to the final round. And then speaking of that round, you start with a really strong hand. You have Mass Change 2. You made Denis mill away Mystic Mine and Driver. It was quite an intense game because you had responses to everything. But then as it went on, it seemed like he was just kind of sticking with it. So how were you feeling in that final game?
I felt pretty good. I made a couple mistakes. I definitely could have played it a lot better. I feel like I could have summoned Dark with the Elf and before I Gigantic, so I would have had I pretty much could have killed him a turn earlier. So I totally messed up, but you know what happens. It's Yu-Gi-Oh!
It is Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's been an absolutely amazing display for our first feature, so I wish you the best of luck with this. 4 times YCS topper, you probably stand a fairly good chance, and we've seen you in the mirror match. There's going to be a lot of the Ishizu tiers this weekend, so I'm sure you'll probably face a few more, and you'll breeze on through. But congratulations again. Best of luck in the rest of the tournament. Don't go anywhere, guys, because we have our second feature match coming up very shortly.